Finn if Lily wants to get started.
I'm sorry, Taylor, did you tell me that you wanted me to get started, or did you say it said that there was a recording starting and I couldn't hear you for a second?
Can you hear Lily?
I cannot. Can anyone else?
Oh, sorry. My bad. All right. So what I was saying, you probably couldn't tell because I have my mask on, but yes. So I would like to introduce our lovely guest, Finn Partners. Finn Partners is one of the fastest growing global independent agencies with a heart and a conscience. The agency serves clients through a powerful combination of hands-on partnership, highly specialized expertise, and a values-driven culture that champions integrity, collaboration, and innovation. More than an agency, Finn Partners is a bold collective of communications advocates, stewarding brands, protecting reputations, influencing public policy, and leveraging data and analytics to shape the most important conversations of our day. So with that, I'll pass it over to our guest from Finn Agency.
Wow, that sounds so formal about us. Hopefully we'll be able to break it down a little bit into a little more digestible pieces. But thank you so much for having us today. We're excited to meet everyone here and talk a little bit about Finn Partners, share a little bit about our work and our history, and then kind of just get to know you a bit more. Let me jump in here. So first, we're going to start off by introducing our team that's here today. I'm going to share some information about Finn Partners, just about our history, about some of the work that we do. Then we're going to talk a little bit about our influencer programs, do a snapshot on one of our clients, Sprout Social, and then share some information about our global sustainability and social impact practice, and talk a little bit at the end about if you're interested in joining Finn, how to go about that, and have some time at the end for some Q&A. So this is the Finn team here with you today, and we'll start with Brad and just go around and give a little introduction on all of ourselves.
Yeah, hey, I'm Brad. So I'm a vice president of digital and influencer strategy. Been with Finn Partners only a few weeks, so just getting started, but really excited to be here. I've spent my career bouncing around from different agencies, different holding companies. I've worked at for an Omnicom agency, I've worked for IPG agencies, I've worked at independent agencies. So kind of all over the place, but really over the last 5 years, been focusing on digital and influencer stuff.
I'm Lauren Wisbeski, account supervisor on the Global Sustainability and Social Impact team. I've been with Finn for about 8 months now, so also fairly new. I started my career in the nonprofit space, went into marketing, also copywriting. I thought I wanted to be Peggy Olson at one point, if anyone has seen Mad Men. Found my way back to the nonprofit space, focused on environmental sustainability, but always with that communications lens. And now I'm at Finn doing communications work for sustainability clients.
Great. And then I'm Taylor. I'm a senior account executive with Finn Partners. I work out of the Chicago office, and my background is mainly in B2B tech. I've worked for a couple of agencies out of graduation. I graduated from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign back in 2019. So I'm coming up on almost a year working with Finn Partners. And I work on just a handful of different tech clients within our office. And one of those being Sprout Social, which Laura mentioned, which we'll get to later in this presentation.
And I'm Laura Grossman. I'm a vice president of operations and talent in the Midwest. So I do recruiting for our Chicago and Detroit offices, do a lot of support with staffing our accounts, doing some financials, and then also doing a lot of fun things for the office, like deciding on our birthday treats of the month and little things like that. So a variety of responsibilities. Okay, so to jump in, Fin Partners was founded just over 10 years ago. Our 10-year anniversary was last December, and this is our founding managing partner, Peter Finn, also our CEO. And he's been in communications for his entire career. His father founded Reuter Finn, and 10 years ago, Peter and his sister split off from that to start Fin Partners to really focus on founding a different kind of agency. And the vision of our company is to be a world-class, best place to work global agency with a heart and a conscience that any major client around the world would be proud of to have as a partner. And tying in with that vision are our core values that we have as an agency. These have been a part of the agency since we were founded, and they really kind of laid the groundwork for the type of agency that Peter Finn wanted to make. And so I'm just going to talk about a couple of these, but they're really important to our agency. You see them everywhere. They're in every deck that we put out for new business or to clients. They are on walls in our offices and on all of our new hire paperwork. They're a big part of orientation. And so really an important part of Fin Partners that we all really encompass and take to heart because, you know, it's really what the base of our company is. So the very first one there is work hard, play nice. And when Peter was founding Fin Partners, he really knew that if we were going to set ourselves apart from the rest of this industry, that we had to be really passionate about our work, because people that are passionate about the work that they're doing are going to work really hard on that just because they like it so much. But working hard is only part of this. The other part is playing nice. And, you know, a lot of times in business, people believe that if someone gets in your way, you know, the only way to, you know, get above them is to push them down. You know, if I'm going to do better, then you have to get out of my way. And Peter Finn has a different kind of idea around that. You know, he had a conversation with somebody a while back who said, I don't have time to be nice in business. And Peter Finn said, I actually completely disagree and think the opposite, that I don't have time not to be nice. There are so many ways that being nice will pay off in the long run. Versus burning bridges and being a person that no one wants to work with. And so at Fin, our goal is to work hard, but be great people to work with. And I truly feel, I've been with Fin Partners for almost 8 years. And I really feel that Fin in the Midwest and across, you know, our global market is filled with team members who you always feel like they're on your side. You always feel like they have your back. And they're the types of people who will jump in and support you, whether they understand the help that you need or not. Like we're just yes people. We want everyone to feel great. We want everyone to grow their careers and feel really good about the work they're doing. So I feel like this is one that we really truly encompass and take seriously. Another one I'll talk about is creating a best place to work. So, you know, this is an industry that is filled with a lot of talented people. A lot of really great different agencies, in-house opportunities, and great clients that those agencies are all working for. So then we figure out, like, how do we set ourselves apart from that? And we believe that work culture is a key to that, you know, especially in the last year and a half where work culture has completely flipped upside down and in what that looks like. I think that the importance is there more than ever. And so, because we think that if people love where they work, they're going to want to stay there for a long time, grow their careers, and that means great results for our clients. And so I'll talk a little bit later about one thing that we've done recently with COVID and switching over to a lot more remote work to kind of adjust what it means to be a best place to work. But one thing that, because Fin Partners is independently owned, we have a lot of opportunity to adjust what being a best place to work looks like. So for example, we have a survey that goes out to our employees once a year that covers everything from like, how do you feel about our PTO, to our health benefits, to the type of computer you have, do we need better technology? So it's all different questions. And Peter Finn shares out the results with all of the Fin staff once he collects them, and he adjusts things based on those results. So a couple of years, I mean, now it's probably, like 6 years ago, we used to have summer Fridays. We would close early on Fridays during the summer. And in the survey results, he was seeing that a lot of people weren't able to utilize that benefit because there were client meetings on Friday afternoons, or there was just work going on and people felt like they weren't able to use that benefit. And so we changed the way that our summer days look. So instead of summer Fridays, everyone now gets 5 extra PTO days to use between Memorial Day and Labor Day. And that way you can really plan around them so that you really get to enjoy that time off. So you can take a week, you can take short Fridays, you can take half days, whatever works best for you. So it's a way where we really can immediately just be like, this isn't working. Let's figure out what will make people happier. And being independently owned helps make that a lot easier. There's a lot less red tape to go through for things like that. And I'll touch on that one a little bit later. And the last one that I will talk about briefly is our commitment to diversity. We are committed to really embracing, championing, and advancing diversity in all of its forms. And there are so many different forms of that. It's ethnicity, gender, location, what major you were in college, what your interests are, where you live in our country. And we have a big demand from our clients to have diverse teams working on their work. They are targeting consumers or businesses in many different areas, and they want a team that can encompass a lot of ideas and not just be, the same major, the same background. Like, you're probably going to come up with a lot of similar ideas that way. And our clients want well-rounded, diverse ideas. And so it's something that we are very focused on at Fin. And while we're focused on it, we also know that there's constantly more to be done in this area and our industry. Fin Partners has an agency-wide DEI program that has over 100 team members in it. It's called Actions Speak Louder, and it's really designed to drive conversation around DEI into action. So not just have conversations about it, but how can we actually do something about it and make things better? And so that group is focused on recruitment, community service, thought leadership, education, and mentorship. And so there's all different pillars, groups that are focused on each pillar, and promoting those for internally, planning different events for our Fin team, and then also working on DEI efforts for our clients. So Fin Partners has grown a lot in the past 10 years since we were founded. We currently have 27 offices on 3 continents. You can see all of our locations listed there. And we have a little over 1,000 team members. Now, when I joined Fin, I think we had around 350 team members. So that is a lot of growth, within 6 years. We've grown both organically and through acquisitions. A lot of our global, especially growth, has been through acquisitions. Asia was a big focus for us about 4 or 5 years ago to really expand in the tech and travel market there. And but one thing that you'll really find through all of our acquisitions is that culture is the #1 thing that Peter looks at when he's considering growth. They have to be an immediate culture fit in order for him to even consider bringing them into the Fin network. And the one that I have been a part of the most was our Nashville acquisition. And it truly felt like they were always a part of Fin. Like, they were just like us. Like, there wasn't any, oh, they do this differently or they're mean. Like, they were just like us from day one. And I've really seen that through every single acquisition that we've had at Fin, which has been really nice. In the Midwest, we have offices in both Chicago and Detroit, also Nashville, as I mentioned, if that's also considered Midwest. In Chicago, we have 66 team members. Detroit has 21. And you can see our practice areas here along the right. The largest one in the Midwest and an agency is actually B2B Tech. It's about a little over 40% of our clients fall into those areas. But we do have clients that cover all of these in our Midwest offices. And then when Fin Partners was founded, we were really focused on public relations. That was, really what we mainly did. And through organic growth and also some of these acquisitions, we now really have capabilities for our clients in almost every area of communications and marketing. So we can do advertising, we do branding, we can redesign entire websites, we can do podcasts, we can do videos, influencers. So it's really exciting because we used to have to outsource some of this. If somebody wanted a video, we'd have to find a video vendor. And now we connect them with our team that does videos and keep all of that in-house and everyone getting the same exact experience by working through Fin Partners. So I think that's been one thing that's been really exciting, watching the growth of that here. And just, if a client needs something, just about everything we are able to offer them ourselves. And then these are, in addition to the practice areas that we have in the Midwest, there's some additional ones that we have in our other offices. So we do work in all of these sectors here. And as you're kind of starting out your career, a lot of people may not know what sector they want to go into. And one thing that I really like about Fin Partners is that, especially for our entry-level roles, a lot of times you're working on accounts across practice areas. So you may be on a B2B tech account and a healthcare account, or a consumer and a CSR account. And we do that so you can start to get a feel for what you really like, what you maybe don't like, so that it can help guide your career. So, you know, I know sometimes at some agencies or other opportunities, you might be directed one way and it's like, okay, you're on the consumer route. And that may work out wonderfully, or you may be like, I don't know if I really like this, or if I would have liked something, a different area a little better. So we like to make it as kind of just so that you do get a well-rounded initial experience and can really start to guide where you want your career to go. And then these are some of our awards that we've received since our founding. The most important one that Peter is always wanting to go after is best agency to work for, because that's sort of where the best place to work comes in. It's where work hard, plays nice comes in. You know, as much as we definitely want awards for the great work we're doing for clients, our agency experience is also very, very important and a high focus for us. So you can see quite a few of those in here since we've been founded. And this is just a quick snapshot of some of our Midwest clients. So our clients range anywhere from 10,000 a month to 100,000 plus a month. So a wide variety. Team sizes are going to range depending on the budget. So a $10,000 a month client might have 3 people working on that. You know, 100K plus could have 25, 30 people working on it, depending on what the asks are for. So you can see a variety. Probably some of these are pretty recognizable, some you've never heard of before. And that's kind of how it is with Fin. You know, we have some that are more startups that maybe you haven't heard of that are looking to IPO or be acquired. And then we have some really well-known, Comcast Business, DHL, The Body Shop, Little Caesars, things like that, where they're pretty well-known consumer brands as well. And now I'll pass it over to Brad, who's going to talk to us about our influencer programs.
Thanks, Laura. So really quick getting started, let's define what an influencer is. So an influencer is a key leader who has relevance on a particular subject and or has clout with a specific audience. So that's really important to define, because a lot of people will just say like it's someone who has a ton of followers on Instagram. And a lot of times that's what it is. But really you want to look for that clout with a specific audience, and then you want to look for relevance. So moving on to the next slide. Another big misconception about influencer marketing is that it's something new. It's really not. It's one of the oldest forms of marketing. And so if you go back in history, you can look at Buffalo Bill Cody's Wild West show, where he took iconic plainsmen, went all over the world, and really is what formed the vision of the iconic American West. You know, you move forward into the 20th century. General Electric created a TV show for then actor Ronald Reagan to go out and promote their brand, and he did a lot of skits, radio shows, stuff like that. Also went around and did a speaking tour to 135 GE research and manufacturing facilities, meeting with over 250,000 people. So that was a way that influencer marketing was happening in the 20th century. Now in the 21st, we have social media, where it's been much more democratized and more people have access to create this audience. They don't need GE to get them a TV show to do it. So they're creating their own channels, and that's what we're doing. And so influencer marketing has evolved now to where we're looking for these people generally within the social space and the channels that they have there. There's different tiers of influence and different ways that people can become influential. So kind of starting on the bottom, the more of these people like super fans and followers. So these are people who just really love a product, and ultimately you would reach out to them because of their love of the product, and you know that in their own spheres of influence in the real world, they will talk about it, and you want to promote their fandom of the product or the brand. Going up from that, you have micro and nano influencers. So really it's anything between about 5,000 followers to 150,000 followers. People who are just getting started, or they're very niche, and sometimes that niches get riches. So even though they might not have a lot of followers, we can end up paying them a lot of money to speak to a specific audience because they have that clout to those people. The next tier here, mid-tier, this is where people usually will start having a lot of agents representation that we work with. And ultimately, that's where you start to pay a lot more money to get involved with these people. Top tier, these are where people really are starting to become celebrities in their own right, but they got to be famous on social media. So we don't necessarily call them a celebrity. And then that top tier there, those are people who are celebrities in the real world and have translated that celebrity into a followership within the social space. So kind of talked about that a little bit on the last slide, but really the influencer landscape is made up of 3 different buckets. There's cultural. So these are going to be like celebrities and social media stars. Think like Kim Kardashian in that one. Reputational, and these are people who they are really smart on a particular subject. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Mark Rober. He's one of the bigger science influencers that out there. Got to start by being a scientist for NASA. Now one of the largest YouTubers. He's the one that creates the fun video with the package that people steal off his porch every year for Christmas. And then the bottom one here is media, which would consist of journalists and writers. This is where we see a lot of overlap with our PR friends. And ultimately, people who are in the media are able to translate their reach in whatever medium they're in into having their own social personality, building a followership within the social space as well. So looking through how this all comes together, it's about an 8 to 10 week long process. It can be a lot longer, can last a year. It can sometimes even be shorter. We don't like that. But ultimately, this is the process for how an influencer campaign comes together. So you start off really trying to understand the brand and the product story, what the brand wants to do, getting a briefing from them, looking into audience insights, who are the people that you actually need to reach, then identifying the campaign goals and KPIs. What does the brand actually want to do and what will they see as success? And then how are we going to measure that? I think that defining what success looks like at the start is one of the biggest things that you can do. You don't want to get to the end of a campaign and have no idea if it went well or not. After that all culminates into creating a strategic approach. So really outlining for the client, like right now I'm working on a giant one for Jack Daniels that we're pitching next week, another one for Purina. So creating these strategic approaches out of all of that research and background information that we present to the client, ultimately get them to say, yes, we want to do this campaign. We're allocating budget for this. Once they sign off on that, that's when the fun part starts, when we start to do influencer selection. So going over all the internet celebrities that we can find that fit the target profile, digging deep into their channels, watching a lot of their content, trying to see if they've used any kind of problematic language in the past that would be a no-go for a brand, making sure they're fit. And then we start to do outreach to these folks in contract negotiations. So once we've identified these folks, we've realized they're a good fit, we'll reach out, we'll talk to their agent, talk to them, try and see what their pricing looks like, what their availability looks like, if that's a fit for the campaign. Then going from there, we get them under contract, we start to co-create content. So this is a little bit of the harder part sometimes for our clients because they're used to having a lot of control and really having the say over the way that things go. And they still should have some, but there's a reason these people are celebrities and there's a reason these people have taken off within the social space. I have 1,000 followers on Instagram. That's nothing. There's a reason why I have 1,000 and they have 100,000. We should trust them to create good content that people will like. Next part of that is getting that content live and distribution. So that is posting on their own channels. I'm sure you've seen paid advertising behind influencer content. So that would be called whitelisting. So that's where we take paid media, amplify it to more people than just whoever follows that influencer. That can also be doing a satellite media tour with that influencer. That could be creating a web page that includes that influencer content. I've done stuff where we've taken influencer content and done shelf stalkers in store at Walmart. So a lot of ways that you can end up using it. And then once it's all out there, the next step is the final step, which is measurement and analysis. So going in and trying to figure out, was this actually successful? And, given the high degree of analytics available within the social space, we can do a lot of measurement that can get down into the nitty gritty if something was successful.
Thank you so much. Any quick questions for Brad? We have time for questions at the end too, but just anything that jumps out about influencers right now. I have like a million questions I could ask you, Brad.
Oh, shoot.
Lily, did you have one?
Oh, I can't hear you.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No worries. Oh, back not to being able to hear you.
She's gonna write it in the chat,
Perfect.
Okay.
or she'll ask at the end. Sorry, we're in the same
Okay,
room, so we're trying to.
That's okay. We can jump into Sprout Social then with Taylor.
Great. So one client to call out in our tech practice is Sprout Social, like Laura mentioned. So just a quick blurb about Sprout. So Sprout Social offers deep social media listening and analytics, social management, customer care, commerce, and advocacy solutions to more than 30,000 brands and agencies worldwide. So to put that into some layman's terms there, Sprout Social helps companies manage their social media and through their tools has a pulse on current social media conversations among consumers and brands. So you may have heard of them or used them in internships as a scheduling or monitoring platform for social media. So Fin Partners has worked with Sprout Social for just over 2 years. So Sprout had recently gone public back in December 2019 when they came to Fin looking for a partner to really help elevate their story and profile, especially among some of those higher tier and business media. So Sprout Social really has seen some massive growth. So as I mentioned, they did IPO in December 2019, and they really have seen a huge growth in its stock value. And they are the fastest growing Chicago-based tech company. And one of the really unique things about Sprout Social is the sheer access to data they have. So with social media conversation, Sprout is really looked to as a resource for social conversations by the media. And in the market, Sprout is really well respected as a resource for marketers and social media managers. So in our work with Sprout Social, we really do have a robust media relations program. So with that, by conducting media relations, we reach out to reporters and keep them updated on the latest news with Sprout Social. We also position their executive team as thought leaders. So we reach out to media highlighting Sprout as an expert in their respective area and coordinate interview opportunities on their behalf. We also do trend spotting and newsjacking. So we have a pulse on current media conversation and we do offer Sprout accordingly. So as I'll get into on the next slide, we recently saw some really great success around doing this for the 2022 Super Bowl. We also do events and awards for Sprout. We'll flag upcoming events and awards that Sprout would be a fit to win or participate in. And then on the right hand of this slide, we already moved on, but on the right hand of this slide, we did have some samplings of some of the media placements we've secured for Sprout over the course of our partnership. So we've had some really great headlines across top tier media like Reuters, Forbes, and the Washington Post, along with some top industry publications that reach their audience and who Sprout sells to with features in Adweek and then Ad Age. And then in the next slide, perfect. So as I mentioned on the slide before, we recently had a lot of success around this year's Super Bowl for Sprout Social. So due to Sprout's social listening capabilities, we're able to have a pulse on conversations taking place around almost any topic. So a couple of those are how people are talking about travel or world events and COVID or even cryptocurrency. So the Super Bowl in particular is really important as this is already kind of an ad-centric event. So positioning Sprout as a resource really helps us reach their direct audience of advertisers and marketers in a really natural way. So around the Super Bowl, we pulled data related to sentiment. So if the conversations are positive or negative or neutral, the volume of mentions, top conversations, top hashtags, and just generally how much people are talking about the topic on social media. So we can see when social conversation around a particular topic rises and falls. And this is really a great asset to reporters as media need data and statistics to bolster up their stories or tell a particular narrative. So within this slide, we do have a sampling of some of the data that we did provide reporters that covered the Super Bowl. So Sprout found that the Super Bowl was tweeted about over 50,000 times with over 298,000 engagements. And then conversation did rise 251% since the start of February. So around this approach with the 2022 Super Bowl, we did take a waved approach with our media outreach. So a few weeks ahead of the Super Bowl, we connected with media that we anticipated would be covering the event, and that we were just offering some data from Sprout Social. The week ahead of the Super Bowl, we started offering data and paired it with commentary from Sprout Social's Chief Marketing Officer. And we really use this as an opportunity to focus on the social media aspect of the Super Bowl, which is in line with Sprout's point of view. So as many brands returned to advertising this year, some still opted out in favor of more targeted ways to engage with audiences, such as social media. So we spoke to this trend and how social media has become a central platform for brands to connect with consumers, and why it's an important part of marketers' plans, since Sprout sells directly to this audience. Making that connection was really important. So then the day after the Super Bowl, we pulled data on the top ads that were discussed on social media and the final results of the event. And we really did see some great success with this approach. So with our outreach, we were able to secure 15 pieces of coverage for Sprout Social around the Super Bowl. And we really were able to achieve some great relationship building with some of our key top tier media. And this is a really cool example of our media relations work that we do, because we were super scrappy in this approach. We didn't have any sort of press release, no formal announcement. We were just using some quick pitches, smart commentary, and data, and positioning the client really as a resource to help reporters. So you'll see a sampling of those pieces of coverage and their headlines on the right-hand side of this slide. So that's just kind of a general overview of our partnership with Sprout Social.
Thank you, Taylor. And now Lauren will share some information about our global sustainability and social impact practice at Fin.
Great, thanks. So I guess I want to start this off. Well, let me start off by saying they're doing some heavy duty renovation in the apartment right above me. So if you can hear it and it's a problem, let me know. But hopefully not. But I want to start this actual presentation by going into the importance of ESG, which stands for environmental, social, and governance. This is what we mean when we talk about sustainability. It's basically the mechanisms by which a company can ensure their longevity as we move into this super vulnerable future where climate change is wreaking havoc on, all parts of the world. Not to be a huge Debbie Downer. But ESG reporting is extremely important because it's now really entering the mainstream. So you can see here some statistics on that. 90% of the largest companies now file ESG reports, including 85% of the S&P 500. A lot of mainstream investors are now considering ESG data when making investment decisions. And this really adds on to the many ESG focused investment firms that were already really had their focus on ESG. It's now really becoming part of the mainstream. And then a lot of the world's largest corporations are now integrating financial and non-financial data into their financial reports. So really just showing how there's a proliferation in the interest of this and sort of the various tools and resources that companies can use to ensure that they're on the right track and incorporating this super important information into the items that their stakeholders are going to read. So the icons at the bottom of this slide feature some of the leading standards and frameworks for sustainability reporting. So basically, just like a company puts together its financial statements, they can refer to these frameworks, and CDP is actually a questionnaire where they directly input information, and they can put together, information and materials that address specifically what the investment community is looking for. And adhering to these standards and frameworks results in a lot of benefits for companies, including improving their internal processes, because when the exercise of collecting all of this data and seeing where the company has strengths in terms of being able to incorporate ESG into its business strategy, that exercise really allows them to also identify gaps. It also enhances stakeholder engagement. So whether that's the investment community and asset owners and asset managers that are determining whether to include a company in their portfolios, or purchasing organizations or even customers, at the most fundamental level. This sort of reporting allows them to communicate what they're doing so people can decide whether or not they want to support the company. And then, of course, just being able to honestly and modestly tell their company's sustainability story to really whoever is interested. So next slide, please. So in terms of our team's specific work, everyone on our team has expertise in one of the leading frameworks that I showed on the prior slide. So I actually come from CDP, that was my previous role, and I'm super excited to be getting GRI certified next month, actually. And then, of course, everyone else on the team has, certifications and similar expertise. But that's not to say that it's impossible to get started in this field if you don't have one of those certifications or experience, because ESG is rapidly increasing in its importance and, as I mentioned on the previous slide, its mainstream relevance. So there are a ton of entry-level opportunities as well where you can build up that knowledge. You might have heard about the latest report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which was released last summer, that was called A Code Red for Humanity. So just, this is super important, and it's only going to be increasing in its importance. But on this slide, I've listed out our team's capabilities. So we do reporting and disclosure. The difference between those, disclosure is, data collecting and providing it to a questionnaire that likely already exists, like in the case of CDP, and also reporting. So taking the GRI and SASB frameworks and developing reports that integrate quantitative and qualitative information that are aligned with those important data points that the investment community is looking for. We also do executive positioning and thought leadership, which I think Taylor mentioned. We essentially help our clients position their executives as leaders in their field and make sure they get in front of the right audiences and are speaking about the topics that are of interest at that time. We do narrative building and messaging. We're actually doing that for Comcast right now. And then we provide strategic counsel to clients to just ensure that they're making the right decisions, that they're not greenwashing. So they're not, essentially embellishing what they're doing in terms of sustainability, because it's super important to be as transparent and honest as possible when you're talking in this space. So you can see some of the clients that we have. Comcast, we're doing a lot for right now. P&G and VF Corporation, you might know because they own brands like North Face, Vans, Smartwool, etc. So just to kind of delve into the Comcast work that we're doing, which I'm super excited about. Over the past several months, we conducted a comprehensive benchmarking report to see what companies in their space, and basically in every sector that they touch, which ended up being about 30 companies, were saying about their environmental goals and impact, how they were communicating progress against those goals, how often they were featured in the news for environment-related topics, how advanced their impact reports were, and several other sort of KPIs, I guess, that would help Comcast evaluate where they were in the space and move forward in terms of their narrative building. We worked with our internal teams to develop a really robust slide deck that was first presented to the Chief Communications Officer at Comcast and then ended up on the desk of the CEO. And so with the feedback that we received and all the information that we were able to collect, we're now working on a narrative framework so they can build out their sustainability communications in a way that's honest, that, you know, builds up what they're doing and also offers a sort of framework for how they can move forward in the future, because, you know, every company in their space and really companies across the board are, you know, communicating what steps they're taking to lower their carbon emissions. A lot of them have like carbon neutral or net zero goals by a specific date, which you might be aware of because it's now, as I've mentioned, really becoming something that they're advertising to people across the board. So you might see, you know, like commercials that talk about these sustainability initiatives. So we're helping Comcast develop that right now. My day-to-day is a lot of, you know, research, writing, and presenting clients with these best practices that we're seeing from across the board.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Okay, so now if you are interested in a possible career in an agency and interested in Finn Partners, we have a couple different both entry-level and internship opportunities. So an account coordinator is our entry-level role. Typically here we're looking at college graduates who have some pretty relevant internship experience. So at an agency, doing communications for a company, doing PR for a company, something like that. It's a full-time permanent position with Finn Partners. And we do have rolling entry. So we have postings as we have openings come up, as we have needs on our accounts. And so you can find those on our website. We also have an accelerator program, which is, it's a 4-month program that is for graduates who maybe don't have a relevant internship. You know, either they switched majors late or just, you know, didn't get that internship experience. And so the way that this works is half of your time is going to be split on training. So learning all about different parts of PR and communication. So you learn about influencers, paid social, all those types of things. Half your time there, half your time on accounts for the 4-month program. And then after that, there are opportunities to join us in a full-time position. So that one is kind of, if you still need a little bit of experience getting your footing on some of the communications and PR basics, the accelerator program's been really great. It's pretty new. We are just finishing up our very first round of accelerators. And I forget exactly how many there are. There might be 10 or 12. I know that we did end up hiring all of them as full-time team members, which is really exciting. There's 2 in the Midwest, both actually out of our Detroit office that'll be joining us full-time. And then we also have an internship program, which is meant for students entering their junior or senior year. It is a paid program. It's also rolling entry. It's pretty flexible. You know, it's not, some internship programs are very structured and you're, you know, seeing this area one day and this area one day. Ours is really like being a team member at Finn. So there will be some onboarding and training, of course, different programs for that, but you'll also be working on accounts with team members and really seeing what day-to-day life is like in an agency setting to see if it might be a fit for you. And if you're interested in applying, check our website for openings. We have all of them posted up there and they're updated every day. Also, feel free to follow Finn Partners on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. If there's not a posting that is a perfect match for what you're looking for, I am always still talking to candidates because things change so quickly. We win a new account and suddenly, you know, we need more people in specific areas or non-specific areas. So I'm happy to connect with anyone interested in a career in this area or Finn Partners. And then feel free to connect with other Finn team members too. A lot of times I'll have people reach out to me and say, you know, so-and-so connected with me. I did a quick call with them. I think they'd be great at Finn. And so, you know, I think a part of the work hard, play nice is also, you know, helping others get their career started and being a good mentor in the industry. And so feel free, if you see Finn Partner team members on LinkedIn, to connect with them. And then coming full circle quickly to creating a best place to work, you know, as we've been adjusting to a more remote work culture, one thing we've been really focused on is making our onboarding experience as best as it can be. Like, I can't imagine how hard it is starting a new job, knowing no one, and like just being a person at your desk and having to meet everyone over the computer. And so we've really been focused on how can we make that an even better experience and continue to up level what we're doing. And so we recently created the Fin Welcome Academy, and it's a 15-day meet and greet where within your first 15 working days at Fin, you will schedule 15, they're called tip and talks with a Midwest team member. So it's 15 minutes. We have a list of team members who have signed up to be a part of this, and each of them has a tip about like something that they wish they knew when they started or something that is really helpful just working at Fin. So you can see some of the topics, on here: media kits and editorial calendars, how to draft a client-facing email, what makes a pitch stand out. So they're just kind of quick meet and greets, but within 15 days, you get to meet 15 team members who it may have taken you months to meet, without this program. And, and then you also walk away with these great tips to get you started during your kind of first days at Fin. So, it's sort of a way that how do we continue to change what a best place to work looks like? And this is something that we've kind of done along the way that I think is super beneficial for everyone joining our Midwest teams. And so with that, we are happy to open it up for any questions that anybody has. Let me open up my chat really quick here. Make it a little bigger because it's small. Okay. What channels did you use? Let's see, from Lily, what channels did you use to connect with those media publications? Which, it looks like that was a while back. I'm just not sure which part you were referencing.
I think that was for Sprout Social. I saw it come. Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay. So what channels we use to connect with media? We had a pulse on what they were covering based on their author pages or recent pieces they published, kind of on their subject matter. We kind of had a feel for what media were going to be interested in the Super Bowl this year. Maybe they even covered it last year. So we did like a general audit of some of those media and then pulled those into a list. And then we mainly just connected with those media over email, flagging our data and flagging our commentary and answering any questions that they had, and if we could be a resource to them in any other way. So mainly over email, but we did kind of generally look at them holistically based on what they were covering.
I have a question. So for the interns, would they be like getting experience with the different sectors that you had mentioned earlier? And even not just for the interns, just like in general, like in detail, how does that work with like just getting experience and like going into the different sectors, like the arts, the health, and yeah, how does that work?
So it depends a little bit by person. So if we have a candidate who says like, I think that I might love tech, then we will definitely try and get them on a tech account, and also probably on a few others too, so that they still like get a better idea of what they may like. And then we have some who come in and say like, I have no idea, I'm open to anything, put me on anything. And so then we'll really see what our biggest account needs are at that time, and staff them on those. And then kind of as they continue to go, we have check-ins and we say like, which account is your favorite? Are there any that are not your favorite? And then as we have new accounts coming in, new business coming in, new team members coming in, we can make little shifts, to get you down a track that you're really enjoying. And some people find one space they really love, and others like having a variety of clients. And so we have some people who are account supervisors, AVPs, who are still working across practice areas because they just like the variety of it. And then we have others who are like, all I want is healthcare, get me on all healthcare, I love it so much. And so there's a lot of flexibility, really depending on the person. And yeah, internships, the accelerator program, all of those are going to be across different practice areas, helping you kind of figure out where you're most interested. And a lot of that is based on business needs at the time. So which clients need the most support, and can use an additional team member.
And then I had a question connected to that. So if I'm graduating this year and I've had like a couple summer internships, is it like more suitable for my experience that I would do the accelerator program or the account coordinator that you mentioned?
It probably depends on the internships. It could probably go either way. If they are pretty relevant and focused on communications, on PR, on social media, then you're probably ready for an account coordinator role. If they were in another area, or you look at the job description of a account coordinator and you're like, you know what, I don't know that I'm ready for all those, then the accelerator might be a better bet for you. But if you want to send me your resume, I'm happy to look at it and make a recommendation too.
Great, thank you.
Of course. I see a question in the chat. So what is one piece of advice you wish you had when starting your career? Lauren or Taylor, do either of you want to jump into that one?
Yeah, I can jump in, and then Lauren, you can feel free to chime in as well on that one. I would say just start looking at the news and seeing what you're interested in. If there's any headlines that really stand out to you, what areas are those in? And then I'd also say keep an open mind to your career track as well. I thought going into PR that I was going to do the consumer route. I thought that that was going to be what I was really interested in. And then I actually tried a tech client and I really, really liked it because the world of tech is so constantly moving and changing, and you really have to keep a pulse on things and then kind of shift accordingly. And I just found that really cool and interesting. And now I work with all tech clients. So I definitely say keep your mind open to trying different things, and then also just get a feel for what you're interested in as far as potential client work would go.
I definitely want to echo the open-mindedness that Taylor had mentioned, and even sort of like expand it to beyond the PR realm. Obviously, everyone on this call is headed into the PR career path, but it actually took me a pretty circuitous route to get here. But I kept, building up skills in a lot of different areas, which, like Laura said at the very beginning, I think made me an attractive candidate based on, the diverse skill set that I brought. So, just keeping an open mind about different opportunities that come up, whether it's, what you're interested in within the PR firm, within Finn Partners, where you start your career path, but really just for anything that interests you to be open-minded and keep in mind that ultimately you'll end up where you should be, and all of those skills are going to be important down the line.
Thank you. Okay, how did you know that the agency environment was the right fit for you? I can start on that one. I live for a fast-paced environment. I love that every day is different. No day is ever boring. I could never be in a job where I'm like, oh man, it's only 2 o'clock. What am I going to do for the rest of the day? Like, an agency life, I think, is the opposite of that. It is crazy in the best way and always different, and I just think never boring, and I feel like I'm always learning new things and learning from the people I'm working with, and so that is really what has drawn me to it.
I can jump in next here to echo what Laura said. I love that no day is the same in PR. And then also, I feel like I'm constantly being challenged, which I like. I don't want to be in a monotonous role at all. So that was one thing that I really love about agency life. And then there's a collaborative nature in agency life, I think, too, with your teams. You're all really working together to create the best results for your clients. And I always really loved that teamwork and building off one another and really bouncing ideas off of each other. I really love that part about agency life as well. And then just the company culture of agencies, the people are what really drew me to Finn Partners. I felt really welcomed within my first week and among my team members. And then just the benefits and perks, agencies are really flexible, which is great. And then kind of some of the benefits that Laura outlined as well. It's just a really great environment to be in. So those are some of the things that I would call out about working in an agency.
Okay. Oh, a whole bunch come in here. Okay. How can being bilingual be beneficial in PR? Where can it be applied? As someone who is bilingual, I want to find a way I can work in my skills with my work in PR. We actually have a couple of bilingual team members on our Midwest teams, and we have some accounts that are bilingual. And so they're specifically, targeting the ones that I know the most about, they're targeting Spanish speakers. And so there are specific work that they're working on where we have one plan for, an English speaking demographic and one for a Spanish speaking demographic. So it's not only translating, I know that some of it, but it's also what are the strategy differences between targeting those two different types of people. And so it's another way that diversity really comes into play. And so we do have, accounts that kind of do focus on two different areas like that. So that's definitely one way that it is applied at Finn. I don't know, Taylor or Lauren, do you work on any accounts that are bilingual? I know we have quite a few out of our DC office, but I'm not sure if either of you touch any.
We have a client that's a sustainable cruise line right now. And the main project that we're working on with them is a ship that was specifically designed for the Galapagos Islands, actually, to just like accommodate the, delicate ecosystem there. And so we work with a lot of Spanish speaking individuals and have come across, opportunities where, were someone to be fluent on our team, it would be super helpful. So I don't think that we do have a fluent Spanish speaker, but, with the geographic specificity of that project, it would definitely be super helpful.
Great. How has the travel and tourism part been with COVID? It was probably one of our biggest hit industries in 2020. Work literally stopped in a day. And the way that Finn Partners reacted to that is because Peter Finn's goal during all of COVID was to not have anyone lose their jobs. And he had a 5-stage plan and how he was going to make that happen. And not one person at Finn lost their job throughout this entire kind of ordeal because of COVID. And what we did was actually train a lot of our travel and tourism team members in areas that we had work escalating. So in the digital area, also in B2B tech. So we kind of transitioned people a bit while there wasn't work coming in for that. It has now come back quite a bit. I think that area, like not only has it come back, but it's growing quickly. I continue seeing more and more travel accounts coming in. One of our recent acquisitions was a luxury consumer and travel brand out of California. So it was definitely hit, pretty quiet for a lot of 2020, but has definitely bounced back quickly, which has been exciting. And actually we have one travel and tourism client in the Midwest, which is the Michigan Economic Development Council. So we do work for Pure Michigan, the Pure Michigan account. And that was actually our first Midwest travel and tourism account that we have. A lot of them are out of our New York, Fort Lauderdale, and California offices. And then, okay, I'm currently building my portfolio and looking for internships. What kind of work do you recommend putting in your portfolio to stand out and land an internship or job? So, I think that there can be a wide range of experience that can stand out. And I think that a lot of it is about how you put it on your resume. I always tell people, like, you can put on your resume, like, wrote press releases or pitched media, but what we're really looking for is results. So like, what did you do that stood out? I wrote this press release that did this. I, worked in retail and my sales were this. So like the results of the actions you're doing, I think stands out a lot more than just a checklist of items. So that's something that I always recommend. You know, there's so many different job experience things you can come in with, and they don't all have to be, you know, agency internships. They could be anything. It could be, you know, a barista at Starbucks and talking about, you know, customer relations and how that is important, or talking with strangers all day. We've had a lot of people who have had positions doing not like phone-a-thons, but where you like have to call people for donations, and they're like, I hear no all day long. Pitching media is going to be so easy for me. And they're probably right. And so there's a lot of different experience that you can navigate it into the kind of position that you're looking for now. But I think focusing on results versus just checklists is definitely something that I recommend. Any other questions? Okay. I know we're probably over a little bit early, but do we want to, is it okay to end a little early, or is there anything else that we want to cover off of before we end the chat here?
Yeah, I think that might be it. I thank you all so much for hosting this great session. It was so comprehensive.